Hello guys and welcome to this Hearthstone video. It has been a while, but I wanted to show you this deck that I think is currently combating the current meta, which is Season 12. First question, why is it called Tempo Warrior? Warrior is not really known for a lot of tempo, and the most tempo card it can run, this deck doesn't run, which is Grommash Hellscream. So if this isn't a deck that goes to win in a few moves to end it with the burst damage of Grommash, what is this deck trying to do? Well, basically in the meta at the moment, as I'm pretty sure you're all aware, there's a lot of hunters, a lot of zoo, and there's a lot of new decks going around which go to crush you quickly and primarily go for your health. And stuff like Antique Healbot just doesn't do enough. It gives you that 8 health, but a 3/3, it's just not going to do anything for your board, and you're just going to lose that health and carry on getting pushed through. So I've made this deck as in the sense that tempo is, it has a lot of early game minions that combat and pose threats, but which aren't necessarily tempo gains, but rather many barriers to the damage, and have minions that pose constant threats to their removal, which stuff like Throffing Berserker, which is added, and yeah, Piloted Shredder. It's a sticky minion, it stays around. It's just things that kind of distract them from your face whilst you wait for your excessive late game. What makes this deck different from a standard warrior then? As you can probably see, obviously no Grommash, there is no Baron Geddon, but it does run Ysera, which many warriors don't tend to run. This is your extreme late game. Obviously the ideal scenario is you play it on an empty board. But I mean, if this deck is to combat current aggro decks like Face Hunter, Ysera, obviously it plays less of a role, but if they have no hand and you're out of cards because you've spent all your early cards trying to stop the rush, and you finally got to the biting point where you can take control, Ysera is just good for keeping your hands stocked, whereas a lot of decks at the moment aren't running hard removal, and if they are, they tend to use it on your other threats, stuff like Shield Maiden and that. Other weird inclusions in this deck is Faceless Manipulator, which I found is completely gone from the meta at the moment, and no one expects it. So if against Paladin, and you're struggling against their Court Muster combo, Faceless Manipulator can take their Tyrion, which is obviously a massive tempo game, and sometimes obviously having the unexpected is a massive bonus against your opponent. It was a recent change to add Faceless, and it's proved quite successful, and I removed one Whirlwind. But the way to play this deck is just to get out early. As warrior, you can control the board from your hand, obviously your hand, but I mean weapons, sending them out. You got your Fiery War Axes and your Death Spite, and your removal spell like Execute and Shield Slam. They can't go anywhere. And they're really nice at dealing with the board, and then stuff that can just stick there and deal damage but not necessarily finish, like Throffing Berserker and that. And you can just eventually finish them off by nibbling away, basically. It has got every armor gain card possible. It's got the Armor Smiths, the Shield Blocks, and the Shield Maidens. Because there was a lot of early game, I was really considering a Battle Rage, but Acolyte of Pain is just too good because it synergizes well with the Armor Smith and the Cruel Taskmasters. And obviously Cruel Taskmasters are normally used to enrage Grommash as kind of like a big burst damage, but it doesn't have it, so get them out early as possible to either take out their 2/1 minions or buff your Acolyte or buff your Armor Smith as you normally would in a control warrior. It is a really interesting deck to play. I think it's very strong at the moment, just because the meta is all aggression and ending you quickly, pretty much. Obviously if you still come up against your nightmare matchups like Handlock or Extreme Control, you're most likely going to lose. I mean, it does have a lot of tempo with Ragnaros and stuff that can constantly deal damage, and Kel'Thuzad, which can keep you in a control matchup game, but it tends to struggle in that environment. Obviously each deck has a weakness, and if the meta changes, this deck is likely to disappear, but as of right now, Season 12, I feel like this deck is a really strong deck. It's leading me well so far. I mean, I can't claim it's been to Legend because I haven't got to Legend with it yet. I've started my run a bit late in the season, but currently rank 5. If you'd like to see any gameplay of this deck, please post a comment down below. saying that you wish me to do so. And if not, here is the deck list. Feel free to conduct the science yourself. And yeah, I wish you do well with it. Thank you for watching, guys. Please like, favorite, subscribe, and I will speak with you possibly soon.